Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. I'm back to singing, because gosh darn it, I want some happiness. Puppy's still, he's still here. He's sleeping right now. Announcements for this week. I managed to actually get into 2 videos a day up until yesterday. This week, and I was like, sweet, I'm actually getting back into the stride, yay. But I'm almost done recompiling all of the episodes of Tales from the Borderlands, so they will be all one full episode pretty soon. And again, you don't feel obligated to watch them again if you already watched them, but if you want to, you're more than welcome to. And anyone who hasn't seen them yet, there's a bit of a typo at the end of like almost every single one of them so far, because I forgot to change the episode number. But that doesn't matter. We should be able to wrap up Borderlands 2 soon. The Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary, because it's not a particularly long DLC. I mean, most of the DLCs aren't very long anyway. From what I've seen, 5 to 8 hours. And I do about an hour of recording every night, so I should be done with that pretty soon. Let's see. After that, I have plans to go back to 2 games at once again, see if I can do that. We're getting back into the school season, so we're going to have much more to do with that. I had a bit of a scare today with my capture card, which made me nervous, because certain thing's been working pretty consistently for 3 years now, and I was a little worried because it didn't immediately, register when I loaded it up today. But I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it worked fine. So I was like, yay. Hopefully there was nothing wrong with the recording, but we'll find out soon. I have to compile everything. Apart from all that, I think that's all my announcements. I haven't had a chance to try live streaming on Twitch yet, but I should have at least an attempt sometime this coming week. If not, then definitely when September rolls around and kiddo goes back to school, I'll have much more time to focus more on my work here. Apart from all that, that's not important. What's important is today's topic, which is longevity in gaming. Now, this is an interesting topic because, like I've mentioned before, I touched on it briefly at one point, concerning games and how back in the day they were basically just released and here you go. Here's your game. And you play the game, you beat the game. If you like the game, you play it again. And that's where the whole replayability comes into play. Like, was the game good enough to actually replay? And for the most part, it's nothing like too serious or anything. Then came about the development of DLC stuff, and most of them notwithstanding, like Oblivion's horse armor. Most of the ones, at least the ones that add to the story, are pretty good. They extend the longevity of the game so you can come back to it. And honestly, that's what brings me to this, is the Borderlands 2 DLC. And in the case of Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, basically all the Borderlands stuff, I have absolutely loved the DLC for them. I've played Borderlands 1, 2, pre-sequel, and now Tales from the Borderlands, but I played all 3 of those numerous times repeatedly. I've basically used every single character in the games, and I have my favorites, and that game to me has always had the replayability of just phenomenal. I kiss, beautiful, delicious game. And like I've mentioned before, Final Fantasy VII being one of my favorite games, I played that game to death, to the point where I know where everything is. I know all the secrets. There's nothing that surprises me about that game anymore. And I'm still looking forward to the remastered version of it. I'm still going to play that one again. I've heard that it's changed a little bit, and I've seen some of the footage of it, and I was like, wow, that's different. So I'm looking forward to that. But More than that, more than DLC, there are now different sorts of games. Admittedly, my favorite type of story is one that has an end to it. I love a game that I can play through, beat the final boss, and be done with the game to restart at my leisure. I'm not a big fan of games that just continue to go. Now, there are a few examples of exceptions, much like the MMOs, like World of Warcraft in particular, because I've played that one basically since Vanilla WoW, and that game technically doesn't have an end to it yet, but it has in a way, because every single segment of the game, every single patch, every single update has an end to that section. So that game, while it does keep going, does have several endings to it. And fun part is, after you've beat the next ending, you can tend to go back and play it by yourself without having to worry about involving other players. And I find that to be kind of interesting, kind of neat. I like endings, but these days now we're seeing advent of types of games that just never seem to have endings to them because they keep releasing content for them and they keep patching, updating, and games like Fortnite and whatnot don't really have much of a story to them to begin with, but in that same route, they have no end to them because they can potentially go on forever as long as interest remains. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why I don't like it. I mean, I did that whole Parts to a Good Game series, and one of my biggest things about a game is it has to have either a compelling story or fun and interesting gameplay, or a combination of the both. The both would be the best. And in that, I use examples like Final Fantasy VII's storyline, even though the gameplay was kind of bleh, milquetoast, boring, RPG style, and I Am Bread, whereas the story to it is kind of just hidden behind the scenes, but the gameplay itself is fun and infuriating in parts. But then we start looking at these games now that just don't have ends to them. They don't have foreseeable endings. And that comes about with the fact that developers don't have to just release a game anymore. And that's another topic I've talked about before is patches, updates, DLC content. Well, DLC content. That's a redundant statement. DLC and whatnot can push a game's lifespan far past what it used to be. Now, back in the day, I played one of the first games I played was Dragon Warrior, the original Dragon Warrior, which for those of you who don't know is the precursor to Dragon's Quest. And I played the original one, and that one's one that technically you could spend several days of time in it, but ultimately it was built to be roughly 12 to 24 hour game. There's not a whole lot hidden behind it. There's not a whole lot of depth. And then you play through it, you beat it, you're done, and you could replay it at your leisure, like I said earlier. But nowadays, you'll sit there and you'll play a game, and you'll play through what's already given to you, and then they'll release more content for you. And then you can go and you play more content of it. And then you can really just keep going until you finally have no more interest in a game. And that raises the question that I was thinking about, because the game's longevity is based solely on your interest in it. I start Final Fantasy VII up, a fresh playthrough, haven't done anything in it yet, and I feel the nostalgia, I feel the pressure from the game. I have the entire world ahead of me. And so maybe I won't even make it to the end this time. Maybe I'll play through till I unleash the weapons, and then I'll start over, or I'll put it away for a little while, or I'll witness Aerith's death for the umpteenth billionth time, and then I'll just I can't take it anymore. But I've always got the interest in the game, and maybe I'm not going to get in. Maybe I'm not going to play a whole bunch of the story. Maybe I'm just going to get in and play some grinding. And anyone who's played an RPG knows that grinding is a key essential part to it. And I'll get in and I'll start grinding, and my interest will wane fast because grinding is repetitive and boring and mind numbing. Although, as an adult, I find it a lot easier to do now because I can start the game and start playing it. Start playing like something on the YouTubes or something, and then have fun with the YouTubes while I'm just mind-numbingly repeating circles in the area, getting attacked, fighting, all that stuff. But I can play through the game, I beat the game, I play through the game, quit halfway through, play through the game, hit a part where I'm grinding and I don't want to do it anymore, and I can just restart the game and have fun with it. But I never lose interest in the game, meaning that I always feel compelled to play. When I pick up the controller, I want to play it some more. But then you get these games that literally do content to death to keep your interest. But in my opinion, that, or at least in my experience, I should say, that kills my interest in a game quicker than like just replaying a game from a certain part or at a certain part. And like with Final Fantasy VII, I started up and I have an entire game ahead of me. I start up, say, for instance, Days Gone. I've beat the game already. And now we have all these challenge content things I can get into and play. And they released all these, and they're releasing more. But I get in and I start playing the challenge content, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, I like the game. The game was great. But this is just repetitive, mind-numbing, grindy stuff. I have no more interest now. And so I'll get off. But does that mean I have lost complete interest in the game itself, or just, I don't know, just the gameplay aspect of it? I haven't felt compelled to pick up Days Gone again since I quit it. And I'm not sure if that's because I beat the game and I'm satisfied with having beat it, or if playing the challenge stuff actually killed my interest in the game. Because I still like the story. The story was very interesting. I still like the characters. I still love the feeling of getting chased by a horde. But at the same time, I don't feel compelled to start the game again. And I'm not sure if it's because, jumping into the challenge modes just killed any sort of interest I had. And that's what I see as a danger of these longevity extending patches and updates to games. I know developers don't want to let their games just stagnate and die, because the more interest they have in the game, the more money they make, and the more money they make, the potential they have of making a new game. And honestly, I would love to see a sequel to Days Gone, and not so much a whole bunch of update patches for, hey, you can go now and race around the area on your bike and collect little circles and run over bad guys or anything like that. I just don't really feel compelled to do it because there's no pressure to solve anything, and that in itself, I think, killed my interest in the game. Maybe I could pick up the game and try again, start the story anew and see how far I can feel in it, and see if I feel actually compelled to play it anymore. But honestly, I haven't really had the drive to pick it up. And even now, I still feel driven to pick up Final Fantasy VII again, because, there's still things left undone. I still have some trophies I gotta get. And of course, there's games that have the potential for long-term play because they don't have to really worry too much about that sort of thing, because the people who come back to it, a la Fortnite again, are coming back to it for the specific gameplay function of it. And if they throw in some special suits and skins that you can wear, then it's not really changing the game any. So, but at the same time, if they didn't do that, would people lose interest quicker? I know with Apex, there was a lot of harumphs about them not releasing season stuff, like skins and whatnot for the first season of Apex Legends. And so I guess there is more of an interest driven if people are incentivized to keep coming back. And games like that, I think that could work in, but like story-based games, I'm not really sure how well that would work, because unless you're adding DLC content like Borderlands does, then I can't really see any point in hey, you can come back to Borderlands and get this new skin. Okay, whatevs. But anyway, that's just something I've been musing on since I started playing in Borderlands 2 again. And the whole Commander Lilith section. Because, whole new storyline added to the game, and it literally has made me actually want to go back and play the main game again. And that's one thing I've been kind of wanting to do now. Is I know I said I wouldn't play Borderlands for the channel because then I'd feel driven to play all of the Borderlands for the channel. And since I'm about halfway through Borderlands 2 with Kiddo, then all I need to do is 1 and pre-sequel, and I'll be fully a Borderlands channel. But now, after playing through Borderlands 2's DLC, I want to actually go back and start Borderlands 1 for the channel. Who knows? Maybe I will. I know with Borderlands 3 coming out, I'm probably not going to be able to get it, at least not right away, because money is fairly tight. But anyway, that's all I had. Just some musing thoughts that have been bouncing around my head about the longevity of games. I think gaming is definitely here to stay, but I think a lot of the things that developers are doing may, in fact, be driving their customers away, at least from specific games. Because I know I don't have any drive to go play Fortnite or Apex Legends, but they do the things they do actually keep their people coming back, which I guess works. But like Days Gone, I used to just not want to put the game down, but after playing the expansions and the upgrades and the challenge matches, I don't want to go back to it anymore. It's a weird thing. But anyway, that's all I got for you for today. Sorry it wasn't too much in depth, but hopefully you guys found some enjoyment out of this talk. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And when I can, if I can, you know all that jazz. And tune in next time for another topic at another time. I have a few more lined up that I want to get to, including a reaction video for the various characters of Borderlands 3. But anyway, until then, good night.